In 2006, the US Army established a series of outposts in northern Afghanistan to promote counterinsurgency. The intent was to connect with the locals and to stop the flow of weapons and Taliban fighters from Pakistan. One of these was PRT Kamdesh, built in a remote valley completely surrounded by the Hindu Kush mountains. One analyst said it may as well be called Camp Custer. His reasoning was simple and official. Everyone at the outpost was going to die. Aboard a helicopter descending into that valley are several new arrivals. Specialist Kirk informs the others that it's so dark, pilots won't land without red lights on the ground. He gives them a piece of advice: don't call home, it messes with your head too much. Another soldier agrees, saying there's no getting a bird out of this valley until dawn. Meanwhile, in the Tactical Operations Center, Lieutenant Bunderman and another soldier watch a monitor. They spot one of their men, wondering if he is smoking hash again. As the helicopter lands, Captain Keating greets the new arrivals. "Welcome to the dark side of the moon, gentlemen," he says. Inside the barracks, the new soldiers find their bunks. A soldier named Larson greets a friend, jokingly telling him he smells terrible. As one of the new guys, Junger, claims a bunk, another soldier stops him. "Not that one, Cherry, that's Liebert, find a different bunk." When Junger asks who Liebert is, he is immediately reprimanded for his lack of respect. The name on the wall serves as a grim reminder. It doesn't get better. Outside, the soldiers look up at the towering mountains surrounding them. One remarks grimly that the Taliban have a nice view of them. They usually come up the draw, take a few shots, and then get out. Another soldier questions their strategy, asking why they aren't positioned on top of the mountain. His comrade tells him not to be logical. They describe their situation as a black comedy, while some question why they're protecting this place. One soldier quotes a familiar refrain: "Freedom ain't free." His sentiment is immediately mocked by Sergeant Martin, who is working on a vehicle. The vehicle, a large truck, is a favorite target for the Taliban, getting shot at daily. Suddenly, a soldier fires his weapon, startling everyone. He shot a stray dog, claiming it had fleas. Another soldier retorts, "Yeah, we all have fucking fleas, doesn't mean you gotta fucking kill it." Just then, the camp comes under attack. A soldier reports RPGs and rifle fire from a location they call the Olive Garden. Mace runs out of ammo for his 240 machine gun, and the TOC orders a mortar strike with Willie Pete rounds. Specialist Carter argues with another soldier, demanding his 240 ammo. Meanwhile, the mortar team fires on the Olive Garden. After a successful hit, Sergeant Romesha calls a ceasefire. One soldier, filming the action, is kicked to the ground by his sergeant, who yells at him for firing too close to his head. Later. The soldier who failed to bring Carter his ammo on time finally arrives. The two are forced to stand at parade rest, repeating, "I will not argue and fight at the same time." The moment is shattered by another attack, and a soldier named Jacob is hit. Later, in the barracks, the men discuss Jacob, who lost half his face but is expected to return. Rodriguez reflects on the randomness of war, listing other good soldiers who were killed. "As far as I'm concerned," he says, "if we all stay alive out here, we win." In a private meeting, a soldier is demoted to private for his persistent substance abuse issues. Captain Keating addresses all the men, stressing the need to maintain good relationships with the locals. He plans to call another meeting, a shura, with the valley's elders. He will speak softly with one hand, he says, while carrying his soldiers like a big fucking stick in the other. During the shura, Keating is direct. One of his men hands him a 5.56 casing, one of their own bullets found after an attack. Keating tells the elders their job is to separate the Taliban from the ordinary people. He offers money and projects in exchange for their help. He confronts a man whose rifle shows signs of recent firing, linking him to the previous day's attack. Keating offers them two ways to reclaim honor: lay down their arms and see their communities flourish, or face the alternative. Despite his men's objections, he lets the armed men go, a gesture of trust. Back at the camp, the soldiers are on shit detail, burning waste in barrels. Mace complains that the duty will give them cancer. Gallegos reveals he is remarrying his ex-wife, who is pregnant with another man's child, and plans to raise it as his own. Mace, a former Marine, recounts his long and varied list of previous jobs, from cook to hot tub transporter. Later, a prank goes wrong when Younger is caught with a photo of another soldier's wife. He is forced to do push-ups and apologize to the photo. A new order comes down from Brass: move the massive LMTV truck back to another base. The men protest, arguing the roads are too dangerous, but the mission is set. Captain Keating decides to drive it himself, leaving Lieutenant Bunderman in command. During the treacherous night drive, Keating discusses his philosophy of winning hearts and minds. A Reaper drone spots a hotspot ahead. It turns out to be just a dead chicken. As they proceed, Carter gets into an argument with another sergeant who calls him out for being an outsider. Suddenly, an IED detonates, flipping their Humvee over the cliff edge. An immediate medevac is called. Captain Keating is down. The soldiers hold a memorial for Captain Keating, firing a salute. A new commander, Captain Velasquez, arrives. He is greeted by the soldiers' usual crass humor, this time involving a tennis star's underwear. Waleska's tours the aid station and learns of its severe limitations. No refrigerated blood, and A2 horror wait for medevac helicopters. As he tours the rest of the outpost, they immediately come under fire again. Later, on patrol, the men question the new captain's strategy of sending them out after every potshot. Sergeant Carter looks down at the camp from the mountainside, seeing what the enemy sees. He explains that with every small attack, the enemy is figuring them out, dialing in their positions for a big one. When asked how he would attack the camp, Carter lays out a chillingly precise strategy. First, he'd knock out the mortar pit, leaving them without their most effective defense. Then he'd hammer their heavy vehicles, especially the one protecting the mortars. He'd target the ammo depot to prevent resupply and the generator to kill their communications. Finally, he'd send fighters down the switchbacks to get inside the wire before air support could arrive. Once inside, they could take the main gate, divide the camp in half, and then... He concludes, "We're fucked." When asked how they stop such an attack, Carter gives a one-word answer: "We don't." The patrol discovers a baby left in a basket. Despite suspicions of a trap, they take the baby back to the outpost. Soon after, an old woman confronts them, demanding the baby back. After spitting on a soldier, she leaves with the child. The translator explains she will now tell her village the Americans kidnapped her baby, a propaganda victory. Later, the soldiers catch a local man taking photos of the camp, likely for the Taliban. During another shura, the elders deny any knowledge. The translator, Mohammed, privately warns Captain Uleskas that his sources say the Taliban are coming in large numbers. One of the soldiers dismisses him, saying he cries wolf every week. During another patrol, the men cross a dilapidated bridge. As Captain Uleskas crosses, an IED detonates, killing him instantly. The traumatized younger is put on a medevac helicopter and sent home. Another new commander, Captain Broward, arrives and immediately orders them to stop reinforcing the camp's defenses. He announces that the outpost is scheduled to be closed in July. The men find a voter ID card near the site of Uleskas' death, likely belonging to the killer. Broward refuses to let them pursue the suspect, citing orders and the impending closure. During another sniper attack, Broward hesitates, demanding positive identification of a weapon before allowing his men to fire mortars. Romesha, frustrated, lies about having PID to get clearance to engage. Broward confronts Romesha, warning him about the strict rules of engagement and wasting ammo. He then delivers more bad news. The closure has been delayed until at least October. Carter confronts Bunderman about Broward, calling him a coward who hides in the TOC. Bunderman defends the captain, reminding Carter that 4 commanders have already died here and that Broward has his own combat trauma to deal with. That night, the Taliban attack with mortars, using night vision for the first time. The next day, locals bring a dead child, blaming the Americans' mortar fire and demanding money. The medics determine the child has been dead for days. It is another setup. Broward is relieved of duty. The men are informed that Captain Stoney Portis will take over, and the outpost will finally be closed on the 6th of October. They are ordered to keep the closure a secret from the locals. On the last night, the soldiers make their final calls home. Romesha promises his wife he'll get out after this deployment. Another soldier sings a nursery rhyme to his daughter over the phone. At dawn on the 3rd of October, the valley erupts. An overwhelming force of Taliban fighters attacks from all sides. Just as Carter predicted, the mortar pit is one of the first things hit. Thompson and Rodriguez are down. Air support is grounded by weather. It will be at least 2 hours. The men are scattered and pinned down. The Anna soldiers flee. Soldiers at the El Ross -1 armored truck are running low on ammo. Kirk attempts an ammo run but is hit and killed. His body is dragged to the aid station, but it is too late. The generator is hit, taking down their long-range communications. At LRS -2, the 50 cal machine gun is destroyed, leaving Carter, Gallegos, and Mace trapped. Hart and Griffin attempt a rescue in another Humvee but get stuck. Gallegos tells him to get out of there, knowing it is a suicide run. The enemy is inside the wire. Hart provides cover fire, while his men make a run for it, but Griffin is killed. Hart himself is killed by an RPG moments later. An order is given for all remaining forces to fall back to a final defensive position, the Alamo. But Romesha refuses. "We need to retake this camp," he declares. He rallies a small group of volunteers to push back, starting with the ammo depot. Trapped in the Humvee, Gallegos and Mace decide to make a desperate run for the barracks. They provide covering fire for each other, but Gallegos is hit and killed. Mace is also hit, his legs shredded, and he's left bleeding in the open. He begins crawling towards cover. From their position, Carter and Larson see him. Larson argues it's suicide to go out there. Dead bodies attract dead bodies, he warns. But Carter refuses to leave him. Larson relents, agreeing to provide covering fire. Carter sprints across 100 meters of open ground under intense fire, reaching Mace. Mace jokes grimly, "Where the fuck you been, motherfucker?" Carter applies a tourniquet, and telling Mace he's not allowed to die, carries him back towards the Humvee. As this is happening, Ramesha's team retakes the front gate. The tide begins to turn as air support finally arrives. AB-1 bomber unleashes its payload, devastating the Taliban positions on the mountains. The bomb blast provides cover for Carter and Larson to carry Mace the rest of the way to the aid station. Mace has been bleeding out for 45 minutes and is in critical condition, with no medevac possible until morning. The medics resort to a direct blood transfusion, a walking blood bank. Soldiers with a positive blood line up to donate. Finally, the quick reaction force led by Captain Portis arrives on the ground. Bunderman reports their losses: 8 men killed, 27 wounded. Portis commends Bunderman for taking command and makes a decision. Tomorrow, we blow this shithole off the face of the earth. As the survivors prepare to evacuate, Carter stands with Larson. Mace, recovering in the medevac, calls out to him, "You saved my life." But on the flight out, Portis delivers the final, devastating blow. Mace didn't make it. Days later, Carter sits with a therapist, unable to speak about the battle. When she asks who he couldn't save, he whispers Mace's name. He confesses that Mace wasn't his friend. The weight of it all becomes too much, and he breaks down completely.